It was just past midnight. 6 college freshmen, full of excitement, left their dormitory to do something perfectly ordinary: walk to the lakefront, take photos of the Chicago skyline, maybe catch a glimpse of the northern lights. One of them walked a few steps ahead of the group toward a lighthouse pier. She noticed someone hiding in the shadows. She turned back and whispered to her friends, "Someone is behind the lighthouse." Before she could take another step, a masked man jumped out with a gun. Her friends ran. One shot rang out. Just one. An 18-year-old Sheridan Gorman collapsed onto the pier, bleeding and unresponsive. What happened next would shake the entire nation and reignite the most explosive debate in American politics. Sheridan Gorman was 18 years old, a freshman at Loyola University, Chicago, just 6 months into her college journey. She was from Yorktown, New York, a member of the campus Christian organization Crew, and was studying business. By every account, she was the kind of person who made everyone around her feel seen and valued. Her parents described her as someone who was full of life, full of kindness, and full of a love she gave freely to everyone around her. She had her whole future ahead of her. She was just getting started. On the night of March 18, 2026, Sheridan and 5 friends left their Loyola dormitory just after midnight and walked to nearby Toby Prince Beach in the Rogers Park neighborhood, planning to photograph the city skyline. The group split up briefly as Sheridan and 3 others continued walking toward a lighthouse pier, where, unknown to them, a masked man was hiding with a firearm. Sheridan walked ahead of the group and was the first to reach the lighthouse. She was startled by the figure hiding there, quickly walked back to her friends and whispered that someone was behind the lighthouse. As she did so, the suspect, dressed entirely in black, including a ski mask, jumped from behind the lighthouse with a .40 caliber handgun, prompting the group to run. He fired once, striking Sheridan in the upper left back. Her friends found her bleeding and unresponsive. They called 911. She was rushed to hospital and pronounced dead. A single shell casing and a single gunshot audio recording, captured at 1:06 a.m., was all that remained at the scene. Here is where this case becomes something much larger than one night on a Chicago pier. The suspect, 25-year-old Jose Medina, was apprehended by U.S. Border Patrol in May 2023 and released into the country under the Biden administration. He was then arrested for shoplifting in Chicago in June 2023 and released again. He had an active warrant for failing to appear in court on those theft charges when he allegedly shot and killed Sheridan Gorman. But investigators still needed to find him. Surveillance footage from an apartment building about a block from the shooting showed a man with a distinct limp leaving the building before the shooting, wearing a ski mask and dark clothing, then returning afterwards without the mask. Police used facial recognition software, an apartment lease, and a witness who recognized him from the footage to identify Medina. A .40 caliber handgun recovered from his apartment matched the shell casing found at the scene. His own mother later identified him as the gunman. He was arrested 1 block from the pier, the same pier where he had taken Sheridan's life. Who hides behind a lighthouse at 1 a.m. with a loaded gun waiting for someone to approach? Medina's own defense attorney revealed in court that he has a developmental disability stemming from a gunshot wound to the head he suffered during a robbery in Colombia. He had to relearn to walk and talk. He cannot read or write. This is a man broken by a violent world long before he came to America. But here is the devastating truth. Brokenness does not cancel out accountability. Sheridan Gorman's family said it most powerfully. Every life has a story, but we cannot lose sight of the simple, devastating truth at the center of all of this. Sheridan had a life, too. Investigators say they do not believe Sheridan was the intended target, that she and her friends were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and somehow that makes it even harder to bear. She did nothing wrong. She was just walking a few steps ahead. Jose Medina was arrested for shoplifting in 2023, released, failed to appear in court, had an active warrant, and was still walking free on the night he killed Sheridan Gorman. So here is my question to you. At what point in that chain of failures could Sheridan have been saved? Drop your answer in the comments. This is a conversation that matters. Sheridan's family has said they do not want her death used in political arguments, and I respect that deeply. But facts are not politics. A warrant was ignored, a prior arrest was overlooked, and a teenager who walked to a pier to see the skyline never walked home. Jose Medina has been ordered detained pending trial, and I believe he will spend the rest of his life in prison. But that is not enough. The systems that allowed this to happen need to answer for Sheridan Gorman just as much as the man who pulled the trigger. 2 young women, 2 college campuses, 2 suspects with eerily similar backgrounds, and 1 law, the Laken Riley Act, signed to prevent exactly this. In our next episode, we're putting both cases side by side and asking the question nobody in Washington wants to answer. If the Laken Riley Act existed when Sheridan was killed, why is she still dead? Subscribe now. That episode is coming very soon.